So you might have noticed on the day of All In, I had a live stream ready to go, scheduled. I didn't wake up on time to watch the first half of All In live. I woke up at about 11 in the morning. Actually, it was about 11:14 on the dot. I woke up, I realized I was completely late. I was like, well, I can't get ready, so I'm just not gonna do it. So, in that case, I will do my review now, right before All Out, and then in the next coming days before All Out, I will release my predictions for All Out. But before then, here's my review of AEW All in London 2024. The London Ladders match was a great choice to start off the show. The wrestlers made their entrances on the pre-show, and then as soon as the pay-per-view started, the match began. The match was full of action, a lot of huge, risky spots, crazy landings through tables. The type of match where you feel like something's gonna happen at any moment, and you're always on your seat wondering what's coming next. The sense of danger made it even more fun to watch. You never knew what they were gonna do, which kept it entertaining the whole time. I wasn't surprised by who won, because Pac deserved his Wembley moment. It's what he's been building up to this entire time. And the only thing that could have been different was the two people behind him. Of course, everybody wanted to see Death Triangle there, but clearly the Lucha Brothers are having some issues, so they weren't the ones in that position. It was the BCC, and that's okay. They deserve it just as much. They also seem to be building up to have a tag match against the Young Bucks at All Out in Chicago, which means who knows? We could come out with a double champion Pac or a double champion BCC, or both. Who knows? Next up would be the Women's World Championship match, Mariah May vs. Toni Storm. The match was amazing. I had a great time watching it. Toni and Mariah have been building this story for a year now, and they didn't stop when the bell rang. They did a fantastic job telling their story through the match. Their character work really paid off in this match. The crowd was excited to see how it would end. I believe this match even got BBC coverage because it was inspired by All About Eve. Overall, it was a very good match. The way it was put together was excellent, near perfect. Mariah slapping her own mother showed how much emotion and psychology was involved in this match. Very memorable one from that night. I would have placed this match very far in the card, probably the second to last match in place of the TBS Championship match, especially with a result like a title change. This was a huge victory for Mariah May and an important loss for Toni Storm. Now I know there's a lot of Chris Jericho non-fans, so in that case you would skip to the next chapter. But next up is the FTW title match, Hook vs. Chris Jericho. The match accomplished its main goal in getting the championship belt off of Chris Jericho. He had a long run, although now it is time for a change. Maybe even a character change. The title does fit better with someone like Hook, who brings a fresh energy and style. Hook has been a rising star, and some feel like the FTW Championship and the Jericho Vortex have caused him to stagnate. Having the championship and getting some big wins could help him get that momentum back. The fans seem to be excited to see where this goes, and it feels like the right time to make this move. For Jericho, this could be a good opportunity to step back, take a little hiatus, or maybe tone down the learning tree gimmick, or lean into it further, or change characters like he has done many of times in the past. He's been heavily involved in this storyline, and sometimes a break can be good for both the wrestler and the fans. The time away can give him a chance to recharge, and when he does come back, it'll feel more special, even if it's until Samoa Joe returns. The time apart could make things more interesting when Jericho eventually comes back to the ring. This change also opens up new possibilities for Jericho and the rest of the roster. With Hook as a champion, there can be new fresh matchups and new rivalries with Hook. Overall, the match did what it needed to do. It didn't have to be too memorable for the fans. It will likely be one of Hook and or Chris Jericho's favorite matches. But for the fans, it did what it had to do. It put the championship in the right hands, and hopefully it frees Hook from the Chris Jericho vortex, gets Samoa Joe back soon, and now we can look forward to seeing what's next for everybody involved. Next up would be the three-way tag match between the Acclaimed, the Young Bucks, and FTR for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. This match was very exciting. The three teams had action moving quickly. The match didn't feel repetitive, great thing. However, it didn't have many big moments, which was surprising, especially since we've seen a lot of these wrestlers face off before. Still, I'd love to see more matches between the Acclaimed and FTR. They both looked great in this one. We've seen the Young Bucks vs. the Acclaimed and the Young Bucks vs. FTR a whole bunch. I feel like an FTR vs. Acclaimed feud long term would be refreshing. I also think Max Caster needs to find his fire again. Anthony Bowens has it. I don't see it in Max Caster at the moment. Some of the best parts of this match included Dax's suplexes and Nick's athleticism, especially his springboard Hurricane Rana. The Acclaimed worked well with their opponents. They were fun, classic six-man moments that added to the excitement. However, overall, it was a solid match with some good moments. It wasn't extravagant as I expected before the match happened, but overall it was solid, good match, not very memorable given who's in the match. With the Young Bucks retaining, the grizzled young veterans would go on to put the entire tag team division on notice. The Young Bucks will be facing Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta at All Out. Next up is the AEW World Title #1 Contendership Casino Gauntlet match. Now, as you've probably seen, I do enjoy this match quite a bit, don't I? This is likely the most creative and entertaining new match type in the last 2 decades. This Casino Gauntlet match was one of the most entertaining live matches I've seen. The excitement began early, Okada entering at number 2 after Orange Cassidy's #1 spot. The entrance kept intensifying. With Ricochet's debut, the crowd exploded. Nigel McGuinness's return after 13 years, the crowd exploded. One of the loudest crowd reactions AEW has ever seen with Nigel McGuinness's return to the ring. Zack Sabre Jr., after winning the G1 Climax, appearing in the Casino Gauntlet match was a shocker. The crowd exploded, and he still showcased why he is the best technical wrestler in the world, while also displaying his storytelling abilities. With his interactions with Nigel McGuinness, one of the greatest technical wrestlers of the last generation, especially British technical wrestlers, Okada, Orange Cassidy, and Kyle O'Reilly highlighted his versatility and skill in connecting different styles and characters. The match was very well structured. Each wrestler played their role effectively. Ricochet, in particular, made the most of his time in that ring, shocking the audience with his high-flying abilities despite the limited time he was in the ring. Overall, the match was outstanding. Very, 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 very fun match. Countless memorable moments. The type of experience that deserves to become a recurring match at the All In event. Maybe even basing an entire pay-per-view around the Casino Gauntlet match type. I will also likely make a part 2 to my last Casino Gauntlet match video, as they've added more rules and added more people to these matches. Most shocking result of the night of Christian Cage winning the Casino Gauntlet match with the help of Luchasaurus, who was seemingly going to turn, but then didn't, and assisted him to the win. They do like to have Christian Cage come into the picture whenever they want something to be brought back to life or be brought to the light, like he had done with the TNT Championship and the Trios Championships. It seems they want to establish the Casino Gauntlet match's cash-in for the world title as important immediately. Next up, we have the American title match, MJF vs. Will Ospreay. A masterclass in storytelling, as Will Ospreay and MJF know some of the best, showcased Will Ospreay's evolution as a wrestler. He is known for his high-octane style. Ospreay slowed down the pace as MJF forced to happen. The match still lived up to the match of the year conversation, even with Ospreay outside of his fast, action-packed comfort zone. His performance solidified him as arguably the best wrestler in the world today, unmatched in his craft. On the other side, MJF delivered his best heel performance to date, flawlessly selling both his character and his role as the underdog in front of a fiercely partisan crowd. The chemistry between Ospreay and MJF was undeniable, leading to the hope that their in-ring rivalry continues. The story in the match was compelling, with Ospreay proving not only that he's the superior wrestler, but also that the AEW audience will forever love him more than MJF. The Tiger Driver finale was executed perfectly, with MJF selling the move, precisely enhancing the drama of the moment. The big twist of Daniel Garcia returning, aiding Ospreay in securing the victory, signals major implications for his future, and his feud with MJF needs a decisive conclusion in his favor. Having restored the now international championship win, Will Ospreay will be facing Pac at All Out, and MJF will be facing Daniel Garcia off of his loss. Next up is the TBS Championship match between Dr. Britt Baker, D.M.D, and Mercedes Moné. Mercedes and Britt are both very talented wrestlers. Their match lacked the chemistry expected of their position on the match card, I would say, in order to make it truly stand out. The build-up was a fine length, I believe, but it didn't exactly feel like the stakes were high enough, and some might argue that the match went a little too long, and the time spent on this match could have been used on the women's world title match, and that they could have switched places. Although, despite the common critiques, I don't believe this match was as bad as the internet is saying it is. I believe the match was still solid. It was safe. It was just very slow and didn't feel like Mercedes' style at some points. And at some points it didn't feel like Britt Baker was as into it as Mercedes was, or keeping up with Mercedes. So it didn't reach its full potential, but it wasn't a terrible match. It was solid. Coming off of the TBS Championship retention, Mercedes Moné will be facing Hikaru Shida at All Out. Next up was the coffin match for the TNT Championship between Darby Allin and Jack Perry. The match was short but very inventive and intense. It had a very nice build, and though it felt shorter compared to some other coffin matches, Perry outwitting Darby Allin, gaining full control of the match, zipping him up into the body bag, and then when Darby tried to escape without his hands, he caught a knee in the side of the head. The use of real glass coming full circle was a highlight of this match, and the crowd reaction to it was very nice. Overall, I believe the match was very good. Could have been longer. I feel like the match prior took some time off of this match. I believe that was actually announced. That time was cut. I feel like if they had a little bit more time to slow burn into the inevitable, I feel like Sting returning definitely made this match memorable, and Jack Perry getting the opportunity against Bryan Danielson at All Out makes complete sense, as Darby was the #1 contender and just lost to Jack Perry, as well as Jack Perry was the last person to pin Bryan Danielson at Double or Nothing. Last up was the main event, title versus career, Swerve Strickland versus Bryan Danielson for the AEW World Championship, and Bryan Danielson's career on the line. This match is the epitome of why a lot of people became pro wrestling fans, including me. Its conclusion was extraordinary. The AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland defending the title against Bryan Danielson, arguably the greatest American wrestler ever. If I'm being completely honest with you, the match was nothing short of perfect. Danielson's potential retirement, being blended with Swerve's ruthless determination, made the match masterfully put together. The match intertwined real-life elements like Danielson's neck issues and family concerns, enhancing the emotional side of the match. The entrances were huge, setting the stage for the dramatic showdown. The in-ring action was superb. As expected from two of the world's best, Danielson, a master at crafting compelling stories, perfectly conveyed the danger and desperation of the match. His emotional interactions with his family, particularly Birdie's distress, added a very important deep layer. Bryan Danielson's resilience against Swerve's mocking yes kicks with his heartfelt declarations to his family was incredibly moving. Swerve Strickland, AEW's first Black World Champion, proved his worth with a dominant and villainous performance. His tactics like dragging Danielson to the outside and taunting his daughter showcased his role as a top heel. In the ending, Hangman Adam Page came out assisting in making the championship slip out of Swerve's grasp, and giving Danielson the unexpected victory was a very huge and emotional moment. The crowd's reaction to Danielson's win was electric. While Bryan Danielson's future as champion is uncertain, his reign is guaranteed to be legendary. Swerve's impressive reign and potential future matchups, especially with Hangman Adam Page, indicate very certainly amazing times in the future for us. This match, though maybe not being in-ring wise better than Danielson vs. Ospreay for match of the year, is a must-see and ranks among the best matches of both of their careers.